Welcome to Movie Explainer. Today, we're diving into Annabelle Comes Home, the third installment in the Annabelle series and the seventh film in the popular Conjuring universe. Released in 2019, this supernatural horror film follows the haunted doll Annabelle as she activates other evil entities within the Warrens' artifacts room, creating a night of terror for their daughter and her babysitters. Background and context: Annabelle Comes Home was directed by Gary Dauberman in his directorial debut, and produced by James Wan. The film stars McKenna Grace as Judy Warren, Madison Eisman as Mary Ellen, and Katie Sarif as Daniela. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga reprise their roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren, though they appear in smaller capacity than in the main Conjuring films. This film serves as a direct sequel to Annabelle, 2014, and Annabelle, Creation, 2017, while also connecting to the broader Conjuring universe. The movie takes place in 1972, chronologically after the opening scene of the first Conjuring film where the Warrens acquire the Annabelle doll. Plot summary: the prologue. The film opens with Ed and Lorraine Warren transporting the Annabelle doll to their home after acquiring it from the nurses who had experienced its malevolence. During the drive, their car breaks down mysteriously near a cemetery. While Ed fixes the car, Lorraine senses a malevolent presence. They realize Annabelle is causing supernatural occurrences, nearly resulting in a deadly accident. This opening sequence establishes Annabelle's power. She doesn't possess people but rather attracts other evil spirits that do. Upon reaching home, the Warrens place Annabelle in their artifacts room, securing her in a blessed glass case with a sign that reads, "Warning, positively do not open." Setting the stage 1 year later, the Warrens prepare to leave for an overnight investigation, arranging for their 10-year-old daughter Judy to be watched by her babysitter Mary Ellen. Judy is depicted as a quiet, somewhat isolated girl who has inherited her mother's psychic abilities, seeing ghosts and having premonitions. At school, she's ostracized because of her parents' controversial profession as demonologists. Mary Ellen plans a quiet birthday celebration for Judy, whose party was largely abandoned by other children's parents who disapprove of the Warrens. However, Mary Ellen's friend Daniela Rios shows up uninvited, harboring a secret agenda. The catalyst: Daniela, curious about the Warrens' supernatural work, secretly steals the keys to the artifacts room while Mary Ellen and Judy are distracted. Her motivation is revealed to be deeply personal. Her father died in a car accident when she was behind the wheel, and she's desperate to contact him in the afterlife, hoping the Warrens' occult items might help. Inside the forbidden room, Daniela touches numerous cursed objects, but most critically, she unlocks Annabelle's case and fails to properly secure it before leaving. This single act unleashes a night of horror, as Annabelle begins activating other cursed items and summoning spirits. The night of terror. As night falls, supernatural manifestations begin to plague the house. Judy encounters the ghost of a priest in her bedroom. A cursed wedding dress starts moving on its own, attacking Mary Ellen. An entity called the Ferryman appears, seeking souls. Daniela becomes trapped in the artifacts room with a cursed television that shows terrifying visions of her father. A werewolf-like creature known as the Black Shuck stalks the property. A haunted board game called Fili Melee comes to life. The evil entity Samurai Armor becomes animated. Each of these hauntings separates the girls, creating isolated scenarios of terror throughout the house. Judy realizes that Annabelle is orchestrating these events and recruits Mary Ellen to help capture the doll again. The climax: Judy, drawing on knowledge gleaned from her parents, realizes they must return Annabelle to her consecrated case to end the supernatural events. She and Mary Ellen prepare to enter the artifacts room to find the doll, armed with holy water and a crucifix. Meanwhile, Daniela is tormented by visions and trapped with increasingly threatening manifestations. Judy and Mary Ellen locate her and help her escape, but they still need to find Annabelle. The doll's location keeps changing as the evil presence manipulates their surroundings. In the most intense sequence, the girls are besieged by multiple entities at once: the bride, the ferryman, and a demonic entity. Judy recalls her father's recorded exorcism rituals and uses them as guidance. They finally locate Annabelle and, despite the supernatural forces trying to prevent them, manage to lock her back in the case. Resolution: with Annabelle contained, the other entities retreat, and peace returns to the house. Daniela apologizes for her actions, explaining her grief over her father's death. In a touching moment, Judy reveals she can communicate with the dead and tells Daniela that her father loves her and doesn't blame her for the accident. The Warrens return home the next morning to find everything seemingly normal. The film ends with Judy's birthday party, which is unexpectedly attended by her schoolmates, suggesting her isolation may be ending. The final scenes show the Warren family together, reinforcing the theme that love and family can overcome even supernatural darkness. Themes and analysis. Grief and guilt. One of the strongest themes in Annabelle Comes Home is how grief and guilt can make us vulnerable to darkness. Daniela's overwhelming guilt over her father's death drives her to make dangerous choices. Her character represents how grief can blind us to risks when we're desperate for closure. Faith as protection. Throughout the film, religious artifacts and faith serve as protection against evil. Holy water, crucifixes, and prayer become weapons against the supernatural. This reflects the Warrens' real-life Catholic faith and the series' consistent theme that belief provides strength against darkness. Coming-of-age. Judy's character arc represents a coming-of-age story. As a child with psychic abilities following in her mother's footsteps, she learns to use her gifts constructively. By the end of the film, she's not just protected by her parents but becomes a protector herself, guiding her friends through supernatural danger. The power of human connection. Despite all the supernatural horrors, the film ultimately suggests that human connection is more powerful. The girls survive by working together, and Judy helps Daniela find peace not through occult means but through emotional communication and forgiveness. The film's place in the Conjuring universe. Annabelle Comes Home serves a unique role in the Conjuring universe by introducing several new entities that could potentially spawn their own films or appear in future installments. The ferryman, who collects souls with coins placed on the eyes of the dead. The bride, a spirit attached to a cursed wedding dress. The black shuck, a demonic hellhound. Various cursed objects in the Warrens' collection. The film effectively functions as a monster showcase, displaying the breadth of the Warrens' paranormal encounters while maintaining Annabelle as the central threat. Production and reception. The film was produced on a modest budget of $27 to $32 million but grossed over $231 million worldwide, continuing the financial success of the Conjuring franchise. Critics gave the film mixed to positive reviews, with praise for its atmosphere and performances, particularly McKenna Grace as Judy Warren. Many critics noted that while the film employs familiar horror tropes and jump scares, it does so with stylistic flair and genuine affection for the genre. The decision to focus on younger characters also brought a different energy to the series, combining coming-of-age elements with traditional horror. Legacy and impact. Annabelle Comes Home further cemented the Conjuring universe as one of the most successful horror franchises in cinema history. By expanding the mythology and introducing new entities, it opened possibilities for future installments and spin-offs. The film also continued the franchise's exploration of the real-life paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, though it takes significant creative liberties with their cases. While the Warrens did have an artifacts room and claimed to have contained the real Annabelle doll, which is actually a Raggedy Ann doll, not the porcelain doll depicted in the films, the specific events of the film are fictional. Conclusion. Annabelle Comes Home succeeds as both a standalone horror film and as part of the larger Conjuring universe. By containing the action primarily to one night and one location, it creates an intense, confined horror experience that effectively builds tension and delivers scares. The film balances supernatural horror with emotional storytelling, particularly through Daniela's grief journey and Judy's coming-of-age narrative. While it employs familiar horror techniques, haunted objects, jump scares, and creeping dread, it does so with a polished execution that satisfies fans of the genre. As the seventh installment in an expanding horror universe, Annabelle Comes Home demonstrates how the Conjuring franchise continues to find new stories to tell within its established mythology, keeping the series fresh while maintaining the elements that made it successful in the first place. Whether you're a dedicated follower of the Conjuring universe or simply enjoy a well-crafted haunted house movie, Annabelle Comes Home offers an entertaining and frightening journey into the world of the Warrens and their infamous collection of cursed objects.